Hello and welcome to Splunk Perspectives, a podcast for leaders by leaders, where we explore cybersecurity and technology topics with our guests. And I'm joined here today by my colleague, Kirsty.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, whatever time you're listening to this. Great to be here. And it's today we're talking about the important topic of tool consolidation. Now, we know that many organizations are looking to consolidate their tooling for many and varied reasons. I wanted to have a look at what this topic really meant, so I went straight to the Oxford English Dictionary. I'm a Brit, after all. And the word consolidate has two meanings. The first is to make something stronger or more solid, but the second is to combine a number of things into a single, more effective or coherent whole. And that's what we're going to be discussing today, how we can do that with tools to combine and reduce the number of tools that should result in a much more solid and stronger outcome, so you're spread less thinly. So that's what we're talking about today, but not just me and you, Sean. Who else have we got here?
No, we are privileged to welcome IKEA into IKEA here today. So we have Magnus and Arun. Nice to see you both. Thank you very much for joining us today. Maybe if I can ask you to introduce yourselves first of all.
Sure. I'm Magnus. I'm a functional expert on the topic observability on Splunk-based solutions. I'm working in IKEA in Älmhult, Sweden, and this is my colleague.
Hello. Thanks for having us here. Myself, I am Arun Prassad, and I am working as a business analyst with the monitoring team for the IKEA. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. So you are part of IKEA.
Yeah.
Which a lot of our audience has probably never heard of. If we're honest, I hadn't heard of IKEA until a few days ago when I met you for the first time. So maybe you could share with our audience a little bit about the difference between IKEA and IKEA.
So there is two different entities here that we are talking about. IKEA is the franchisor. So we hold the brand. We are responsible for product development, the product range, also the supply chain, marketing material, everything to support our retailers. And the retailer is 13 of them to total. And the biggest one is IKEA. So they are basically the store. They are the one that is selling everything. So we are aligned. We have a lot of collaborations with all the retail groups. And we, in some cases, also have shared infrastructure and shared environment. It's where we're sharing context.
Okay, so it sounds like a really complex, mixed environment, much more than what people are thinking of, just the shop where you buy your furniture. There's a whole backstory to what's going on behind the scenes. So we wondered if we could talk today, for you at least, what do you think are the main drivers behind tool consolidation? Why are organizations looking to do this? Arun, let's start with you.
Yeah, I can just start with a brief introduction on this. So there is a great industrial saying on the same topic. Observability, the main purpose is to make the data observable and make available for the multiple teams as well as managements across various organizations. It can be solved by using the right tools with the right incorporation. If any organization is using multiple tools, 5 tools or 10 tools, it is not going to make the observability simple or more observable. Rather, it is going to make the scenario more complex and it will be more tough to maintain also. So starting from there, if we can say some of the good points regarding the consolidation of the tools, maybe the first is like reducing the complexity of the environment itself. Maintaining a big technical environment with the multiple tools and maintaining the data which is getting produced in multiple repositories, it makes the life harder and harder for the technology people as well as for the managers. And also you will not be able to make a E2E view or end-to-end view of the data which is originating from one source and which is traversing to the multiple sources. Because unified dashboard will be a little tough to make with the multiple tools. Maybe just to enrich more on this particular topic, I'll just hand over to Magnus.
Yeah, so correlation is the key. So regardless the tools that you have in your portfolio, they need to be able to play nice to each other.
Right.
So either they are just producer to each other or you can search across the different entities regardless where the information is. However, they need to be able to play nice together. They need to be able to communicate with the same type of framework. So we are reusing the knowledge, we're using the knowledge objects and being constructive lazy, I would say, because you don't want to do the same thing repetitively all over the place. And the second topic I would like to talk about a little bit on the aspect of tool consideration is one of the biggest driver is, of course, cost. And it's not about that we are going to reduce cost, it's making sure that we get the right value, the business value and the empowering the everyday people, making their day a little bit better every day. And for us, that is one of our core values in IKEA. Also, is within IKEA's genes to be aware of the cost. So every piece of furniture we start developing, we start with setting the price, and then we develop within the concept of that. Same thing with our tools. We should be able to identify the cost and the cost drivers within the tools. No one really likes an invoice where it just says one line monitoring and then a sum, and you have no insight at all. So what we are trying to now is to be completely transparent about the cost. Regardless of the tools, we are identifying and describing how the license model is built up. We identify the different signals that can be related towards the license models, but also to each tenant. Each tenant could be part of the organization, a team, where you can actually be able to identify who should I talk to when we have a huge amount of ingest or a huge amount of users. So not that we are going to say, you need to cut back, but rather, can we help you? Can we skin the cat a little bit differently here? Can we improve? Do you really would like to have these metrics every 5 seconds? Or is it a little bit later, like 1 hour? Is good enough? What is good enough for you? So the ambition on each team drives how we are implementing the tool, but they also get insight of the cost. So they are possible to affect their share of the cost, and also how we can then elaborate. Can we change the toolings? Can we do it a little bit different, better, or can you still achieve the same result?
Yeah, I think that's really interesting of the aspects you're drawing out there. The job's hard enough without having to wrangle between different tools just to get one end-to-end view. And I actually love the idea that you're taking your approach towards furniture and cost building from the start and taking that approach to your tooling. I love that analogy. That's great.
Yeah. So maybe I could try and summarize that. So it's a combination of cost saving, or at least maintaining cost, managing your costs, whilst also maintaining or at least improving your user experience.
And value.
Great, perfect.
It doesn't really matter which tool we have. If you don't master the tool, you don't get the value out of it. We need to solve the problems that we are facing in our organizations, in our everyday. We need to make sure that we can go home happy to our family and rest assured that our tools are keeping track on our environments. We are on top of things. We are ahead of the curve, and we are able to act faster. With the right tools, on the right cost, it doesn't really matter. The value is the key here.
Great. So when you're trying to find the right tool to do your tool consolidation, how do you decide, or what do you look for when you're trying to decide which tools to invest in next or which tools to keep?
So it doesn't really matter if you're looking to invest something new. You also need to reflect on what you have already today. So Arun and I have done an extensive work of analyzing all the capabilities that we have in our portfolio. Not to make sure that they are overlapping or not, but try to identify what is the differences here. Is there any special aspect that we need to consider? And when we are in the inflow team talking to the new consumers that are coming to our central monitoring team, we're trying to assess the persona. What is the type of deployment you have? Are you on the shared environment, or do you own the stack in the cloud? Do you own your code? Maybe APM is good for you. If you don't own your code, we have the other solutions to get the insights. So here we are trying to identify the persona, the team, how we can support them with the best type of capabilities. And for that, we have a matrix, so we can actually look at what is best suited for everyone, because we are different. Everyone is having their special need.
Yeah, I think looking at that delta is a really sophisticated way to approach it. Quite often we look at what's the same, but really you need to see the differences to make the most of that value. So we've had a good, canter through why you should be consolidating your tooling, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners will be thinking, yeah, I should do that too. But a question for you, why now? What would be the key point where you realize, you know what, I have to do this now. It's become too much of a problem. What is the driver to do it today?
If I can just raise a good driver for that is like, most of the companies, they'll be starting investing on multiple tools and not taking a right decision at the right time. Which tool has to invest is one side. At the same time, there is a different angle where we are trying to grow the data. If the data is growing extensively in one side, and later if the enterprise is identifying, no, this is not the way we have to, then a lot of rework is going to happen. And more than the cost of the tool which is going to get changed from one tool to another tool, it is the time as well as the cost and effort, the more main drivers which are behind this. And also what will happen to the data. The data may be residing in one format in one tool, and you have to take it into another format into another tool. The repository change all may not be easy. So it will be making the life more tougher and tougher only. And also just adding one more point to the tool consolidation. Tool consolidation doesn't mean that we can do everything with the one tool itself. There should be tools coexisting, but for the right purpose. Say for example, any organization has a CDN, and the CDN will be best to monitor with the native tool with the CDN itself, because they need to be having a real-time approach from the side of the CDN.
Yeah.
And later it can be translated into the tool and visualized in a dashboard.
Yeah, great. So it sounds like you've got a very complex organization and a set of organizations that have to work together. Tool consolidation, even in a small organization, is tough, right? It really is tough.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've gone through a whole bunch of different challenges on your journey as you've worked through this. Could you share with our audience maybe one or two of them?
So we have the same set of challenges as everyone else. We are going into a new agile ways of working, a lot of autonomous DevOps teams that think that, well, I'm a DevOps engineer and I can maintain my own observability stack as well, but that is not their main purpose, right? So we need to be able to be enabler for them. We need to also be strong in our vision and directives and ideas that use this setup, and then you can reuse a lot of knowledge out of the box. Use this development portal where you have templates, where the log framework and observability is built in from the start. So the entry step to the central platforms are so easy they want to get there. We need to make sure also to look at which type of tools do we need to have for correlation, where we are enabling security and DevOps into one view. But also sometimes you need to split the data to an observability platform really next to the system, because monitoring is driving automation. You need to be able to scale up, scale fast, and then you don't really afford to have a latency. So it depends, but you need to be aware of this and take decisions based on facts, based on experience, and based on how we can support the organization.
So it sounds like you're in quite a good position now. You know, it's been a bit of a journey to get there with all the complexity, but you're there now. So if we look further ahead, how do you avoid doing this exercise again? How do you avoid that tool bloat once you're in a good position? Or is that even possible? Do you think it's natural that's going to happen over time, and you just need to make sure this exercise is repeatable?
Exactly. The only constant in IKEA is change. So we need to constantly reflect on where we are, where we're heading. We can outline the roadmap for the next 2-3 years, but we need to revisit that on even down to a tertial level. And we need to anchor that within the team so we achieve consensus. When you have that, it's much better to implement what you're wishing ahead. So yeah, it's a constant journey, and it's not a one thing that you do and then throw away.
Not a one and done. You
No.
have to revisit this after. Well, the joy you have to look forward to. Do you think it will be simpler to do it now you've done it once, this exercise, to repeat it again? Have you got some repeatable patterns that work that you could maybe share today?
Yeah, our processes our workflow is being set up in such a way that we can reuse it regardless of the technology. So if we do it right from the beginning, you can then take the identified indicators and just say, here, go ahead, implement. We know the data and all of that. So, yeah.
So perhaps, if you're feeling a bit demoralized because it's taking a long time this first time, don't, because investing in that will make you feel a lot better. You will get there the next time a lot quicker. Super.
Great. So I wonder if you've done this now and it's been tough and you think you can do it again in the future, would there be anything that you would do differently next time?
What do you say, Arun?
it is always good to try new things. And because industry is like a constantly changing, every tool is changing. Technology, as we have discussed, like it is getting complex day by day. So always we have to try new.
Great. Well, perfect. Thank you so much. That's been really insightful. I hope you found that too, Kirsty.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a tough topic, tool consolidation. We really got to grips with it, and it's great to hear some success in the field. So congratulations to you both for achieving that, and thanks for appearing with us today.
Thank you for having us here. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So thank you very much, everyone here today. This has been Splunk Perspectives. I've been Sean Cooney. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you again soon.
Be sure to subscribe to the show on whatever platform you're currently using. If you're listening and you want to watch the show, check out YouTube. And if you're watching but you'd prefer to listen, check out the Perspectives podcasts wherever you find your podcasts. Speaking of podcasts, you should also check out the Security Detail podcast by Audra Streetman and Kirsty Payne. They explore cyber threats across a variety of industries with some of the most trusted names in cybersecurity. And don't forget to check out splunk.com/perspectives for blogs featuring the latest executive takes on today's security and technology topics by leaders and for leaders. Thanks for listening.